Welcome to the Culture of Why and the Rise of AI Author Community, Episode 3 of Writing in Public. For today, we're gonna cover two things only. I had two amazing interviews, which we'll give an update on, and an update on the book and some of the topics that I've been engaging with at this time. Let's get started. The first interview was with Fabio Zambetta, Deputy Dean Engagement at RMIT School of Computing Technologies. He's a senior academic in the School of Computing Technologies, as well as the Associate Dean of Artificial Intelligence. We had a great conversation where we delved on trust. How could we what is the virtualization and the creation of content in this day and age, how that could be presented in a way that's still trustworthy. We touched a little bit on possibilities of embedding in the recording devices some way of certifying. A great conversation, which honestly sits very close to my heart because we talked about virtual realities, 3D gaming as well in the context of all of that. The second interview was as exciting. It was with Monica Coronel, Senior Product Manager and Go-to-Market at PVH Corp. Almost 20 years of experience in technology sector, coming from design, building products, and lived through multiple of the digital transformations that we've witnessed. First off with the press, and now the transitions that are happening in fashion and how that's shaping the new world that we live in. And in our conversation towards the end, we came on to discussing a little bit what could happen. Would AI influence the diversity and the options we have, or homogenize some of those things? And of course, that came up in the context of fashion industry, but that's a subject I will be touching on a little bit further now. So, for the book update, I haven't been doing as much writing because I've been heavily involved in the interviewing. It's interesting that the dynamic of that keeps shifting. I did write a bit, around 1,000 words, but not as much. But today I want to bring up to focus two subjects. The first one is the concept of AI introducing more diversity and options in the choices that we can have. And the second is the consolidation, like the homogenizing of what we will be getting as consumers or as things that we can interact with as a consequence of the predictions that the AI is doing. And I think there is something interesting between those two. And second, a small request, and if you have someone that you think or you are interested in this topic, specifically the implications, societal implications of AI, I would love to interview you or them. So please reach out and let me know. So specifically on the topic of the homogenization, I think there's two aspects to it. First off, which I'm starting to see more actually in some of the products I use, and it's a side effect of, I think, how AI has been trained. So I've been using a tool to help me, edit and at least run checks on my writing. And it's, of course, backed by ChatGPT or GPT-4 for the most part. And what has been interesting is how it always tries to consolidate my ideas toward the end. So I start with one thought, and as soon as it starts diverging from the principles that are already adopted or the conversation that it knows about around AI, it kind of brings back my writing in its editing or in its what gives me as feedback back to that point, which is really interesting in how it's shaping the thought process and the responses that it gives you back to what it knows. And when the idea diverges, it kind of gets lost. And that I think is very interesting because that is what's leading to the homogenization if we think about it. So the more we use AI to capture data and crunch data and be able to synthesize a big data sets, and then of course through machine learning, and then project that through the models that it gives us, there's a certain level of homogenization that is happening, which is restricting them some of the diversity because it's always gonna kind of funnel or collapse back into what it knows. And I think there is some danger in that. So that's one of the areas I will be diving deeper on, this aspect of the homogenization versus the diversity. And especially I think the diversity, there is value in it because I do see it in languages and bridging the syntaxes between different languages, but the homogenization still exists as a consequence, and it's something to be wary of. Anyhow, that's all I have for this week. I look forward for the next session, and thank you so much for listening. you can go to realitycheck.institute/culture of why to join the author community.